Good morning, everyone. Today is Sunday, January 25th, 2026, and my name is Roman Miller, and I'll be briefing you today on the winter storm threat. So right now, across the area, you can see all the snow is pretty much moved out and has been replaced by that sleet shown here in kind of an orangey color, and then freezing rain here in more of that pinkish, reddish color, and then even actually some plain rain closer to the coast, as temperatures have now warmed above freezing. Again, this line of sleet has continued to shift north. As you can see, when I move through this going back in time, and now this is going forward in time, move through the radar loop, as that warmer air aloft is really moving into the area. And that's helping us to change over from sleet to freezing rain. And then for those closer to the coast and across eastern portions of the area, temperatures are actually warming above freezing, just allowing for some plain rain. In fact, you can see here, Virginia Beach is now 42 degrees. So before I dive into this, I will show a few more things. Let me pull this up. Here is a look at the current temperatures and wind directions across the area. And you can actually see here with the winds turning around clockwise that you have your low pressure centered somewhere just off of Virginia Beach. And with that, that's allowed the winds to move out of the east and that's really allowed for the warmer air to push inland. And that's why Virginia Beach and other places along the coast, they've been able to warm up above freezing. And while we have 40s down there and even some upper 40s down into the northern Outer Banks. Meanwhile, you go a little bit further inland, once this will load, and you can see that the winds are more out of the north or north-northwesterly on the backside of that surface low, and that's that cold air damming east of the mountains. And with that, the cold air has really been locked in place, and it will likely remain locked in place through the day here across much of the interior portions of the area. You can see Richmond is only 20 degrees as of 11 a.m., and then even teens out in the Piedmont. And somewhere around, you can see the temperatures really do warm as you go further east, 27 here at the office, and then again above freezing somewhere along this line as temperatures continue to fluctuate between that low pressure and the cold air damming east of the mountains. So one other thing I will show before I move into the main briefing is that here is what the fronts are supposed to do today. So you can see here, this is for 1 p.m. this afternoon, the low pressure right there off of Virginia Beach, and you have a secondary low pressure over in the eastern Tennessee Valley region. And we're kind of stuck in between these two features, which is allowing for that colder air to stay locked in place across, again, interior portions of the area. And then, again, that rain closer to the coast and across eastern, about a third of the area. If I go forward in time, here is 7 p.m. this evening. You can see not too much has changed as far as where all the weather is. We do think that freezing line will continue to move a little bit further to the west, but I'll get into that a little bit here later. And then by overnight tonight, it looks like that the low pressures kind of consolidate and move offshore. And then we finally taper off with our precipitation overnight tonight before the day tomorrow. Maybe there's a few light showers or really just probably drizzle lingering near the coast early Monday morning. But at that point, it's essentially over. So looking at our headlines, we do still have winter storm warnings in effect for most of the area, with a winter weather advisory for a portion of northeastern North Carolina. And then since our temperatures have warmed above freezing for the far southeastern portions of the area, we have removed them from the winter storm warnings and advisories and winter weather advisories. Now, as far as how much additional snow and sleet, well, at this point, the snow has pretty much ended everywhere. So these totals that you see here are basically sleet. So additional sleet totals of up to around an inch are possible across the far northwestern portions of the area and northern portions of the area, say from Louisa over to Dorchester County in Maryland, and that sort of region. They still could see a decent bit of sleet accumulation before it changes over to freezing rain everywhere. And then as far as freezing rain, our forecast remains pretty much the same. We're still expecting an impactful freezing rain event with a quarter to a half an inch of freezing rain expected across a large portion of the area, essentially from the 85 and 95 corridors, extending up into interior portions of the Northern Neck and East Central Virginia. So with that, there probably will be a small corridor where you can see over a half an inch of freezing rain. Right now, we don't have that shown because we're kind of averaging out what all the models are showing us. But I would not be surprised if there is a corridor where we do get over half an inch of freezing rain here through the end of the event. Regarding the precipitation types and timelines, again, this is kind of a lot to take in with this sort of a view. I'll show a graphic here of the weather models here briefly. But in general, you can see that we transition towards a wintry, or from sleet and freezing rain to just freezing rain and rain later today, and then that tapers off tonight. Again, this is a little bit outdated now. We do expect the precipitation to end a little bit earlier now, so it's probably going to be done before Monday morning. That's been really the only change since overnight. But again, look at our temperatures here. While they don't get super cold Sunday night compared to what they are, or tonight rather, compared to what they are during the day, it's still below freezing across a large portion of the interior area. And then it really gets cold Monday night into Tuesday, where we have that very cold air again moving in. We have here Louisa, the low temperature of 2 degrees forecast for Tuesday morning. So before I show this, let me go ahead and pull up a quick graphic. So here is a blend of the high resolution models to kind of show what the precipitation type is going to look like for the rest of the event. So right here, we are at 10 a.m. Let's go to 11, so we match up the current time. So here is 11 a.m., and you can see the freezing rain is in red. The mixture of sleet and freezing rain is kind of in that purple color, and then plain rain in green. So you can see that that line of freezing rain continues to spread north throughout the day and northwest throughout the day as well. And another thing to note here is that the models have continued to hint on a period of either very light precipitation or potentially a break in the precipitation altogether across at least southern portions of the area later this afternoon before we get around to coming in here later this evening. So you can see here at around 5 o'clock, most of the models don't have any precipitation across far southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. But don't let your guard down because we are expecting another round to come in. This current run doesn't go out far enough. It only goes till 7 p.m., but you can see that freezing rain line of pretty heavy, potentially some precipitation rates that are pretty heavy for freezing rain. Maybe that has some sleet in it. We're not quite sure about that aspect. And you can't even rule out a little bit of thunder with this line of showers, freezing rain, whatever it will end up being as it moves east this evening. And I'll actually pull up the overnight run where it goes out a little bit further in time so you can see that band, that final round pushing east into the evening here. And then we'll go to midnight, and it should pretty much be tapered off at that point, except for maybe some freezing drizzle. We do think there will be some potential for some freezing drizzle behind that final round, and that could linger inland into tonight. And then just some plain drizzle or very light rain closer to the coast through the night before it finally moves on out. Okay, so regarding our winds, we're still not expecting winds to be too strong today or tonight. However, wind gusts up to around 15, maybe closer to 20 miles an hour along the coast will be possible this afternoon. It does look like winds kind of diminish a little bit late this afternoon into tonight. However, on Monday, we are still expecting the winds to switch on over to out of the northwest, and with gusts increasing to 25 to 30 miles an hour across eastern portions of the area and 20 to 25 miles an hour further inland. And with that weight of the freezing rain and snow on those power lines and trees, we still do think that there could be some additional power outages and damage to trees, etc., on Monday behind the system. As far as the expected end time, I kind of alluded to this earlier with showing the model guidance, but in general, we're now thinking it's going to end a little bit earlier, probably somewhere between midnight and 3 a.m. west of 95, and then 3 to 6 a.m. east of 95. Again, that will be tonight, Monday morning. And then looking at our wind chill forecast and our wind gusts, you can see that the wind chills are going to be very cold on Monday night. We are expecting widespread wind chills, potentially in the single digits to below zero in quite a few places. And then again, even though that's what it looks like to be our coldest night of the week, we do still have those wind chills going down into the single digits for a good chunk of the area on Tuesday night, and then again Wednesday night, and that could even continue later into the week. So a very cold air mass moving in behind this storm system. And then here is our expected minimum wind chills over the next 72 hours. You can see here eastern portions of the area, single digits. And then the western portions of the area, especially where they have a little bit more snow and sleet accumulations, they could get well below zero. We're talking about the potential for -5 to -10 below zero, what it will feel like outside in portions of the Piedmont. And that would be, again, Monday night into Tuesday morning for the coldest wind chills. And given the duration of this event, how long will be with these very cold, with how long we will have these very cold temperatures, if you are to lose power and you experience this level of cold, it could be potentially deadly to people and pets without adequate heat and shelter. Looking ahead for the upcoming week, we do have temperatures remaining cool and cold, really, throughout the rest of the week. And you see here, we might get above freezing in some locations, maybe the eastern third or half of the area on Monday. However, places in the Piedmont, they're probably not getting above freezing tomorrow. And then once you get to Tuesday, it's a similar situation, maybe even less of the area getting above freezing. Again, a large portion of the area could see temperatures below freezing for highs on Tuesday. And then we get even colder into Wednesday and Thursday for highs, and then continuing into Friday with highs below freezing, likely for those days towards the end of the week period. And then our minimum temperatures, it's just remaining very cold throughout the next week. You can see here in Louisa, we have lows around 1, 2, 3, -1, 2 degrees, very cold temperatures for the next week. And I don't show everything here with the precipitation chances over the next week, but in general, what we're expecting is after this storm system, there will be a potential for some snow showers on Wednesday night into Thursday morning. We're still trying to figure out exactly. Some models have it, some of them don't. So just be aware of the potential for some snow showers. Again, we're not at the point where we're talking about accumulations or anything like that, but just be aware of that potential. And then beyond that, really, predictability is just too low to mention anything beyond that at this time. But thank you, and I can now answer any questions.